on, folks? It's Kish, Yardie, Gaming Nation. The bear looking better today. Are looking better today. Um, just making this short little live. You know, I want to speak on black men specifically and black culture specifically. Um, you hear a lot of these. You hear a lot of these sayings or cliche sayings on the YouTube or these YouTube streets, especially in regards to masculinity and manhood. Like if black men want to hold women accountable, which he should be able to, because if it's a black man in his house and it's his woman, if he wants to hold his woman accountable, it's his woman. Who are you to tell him what to do with his women? No. We like to say that it's always the man's fault. Whenever a chick is doing a 3 or 4 phase, or a chick is a bad baby mama, or the women, when you want to put the blame on the women, you often hear in these spaces, especially amongst the dating coaches, a lot of the simps or the white knights in the community. Some shit going on in my mouth. The white knights in our community, in the black community, you love to hear them say, or they love to say that it's always a man's fault. If the men look towards themselves and self-improve on themselves and hold themselves accountable, that the women would then fall in line and hold themselves accountable and follow the men. Like the saying that says that the men that the women are the reflection of the leadership of that society. The only conflict or the only conflict or contradiction to that, or I want to say my pushback to that is, you cannot force women to be accountable. You cannot force women to follow your lead. You cannot force them to be your reflection, because women have autonomy and free will. They have to choose to want to be part of be your reflection, and they have to choose to want to follow your leadership, right? And regardless how well black men clean up themselves and self-improve themselves and do better with themselves, if the other side, the women, does according to their perception of what a good man is, if they don't find those men valuable, if they don't find those men uh, valuable to follow, if they don't agree with that leadership of black men, they're not going to follow those brothers regardless of how they improve, right? Because if you go back to the 60s, to the civil rights era, if you go back to the Nation of Islam era, the NOI, even though black men were going through it, or the black culture, black community was going through it, black men were improving themselves. Black men were stepped away from the European centric idea of what a man is. Black men started taking out the. Remember when Malcolm X, he used to put conch in his head? Malcolm X took that, yeah, with the Nation of Islam brothers, right? The Nation of Islam brothers, they helped to clean up a lot of black men. A lot of black men were improving themselves then. During the civil rights era, black men were stepping away from the Eurocentric uh, standard of what masculinity is and tapping into creating their own identity. So even then, through Jim Crow and through whatever extreme racism that was going on then, black men were still on the trajectory of improving themselves, right? And at that time, remind you, at the time when black men were improving themselves, getting more in touch with their pro-blackness and their Afrocentric isms, at the same time, black women were going on Phil Donahue, a white person's platform, Oprah, a black woman's platform, and all these different talk shows calling black men endangered species, telling tall tales, telling half truths, telling telling tall tales and half truths, right? And this is why black men were improving during that time, during the time when it was a fucked up time during that time. during the 60s, the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, and the 2000s, right? And black women went on public TV and was just saying cash money shit about black men, blaming black men for everything. Come to find out that, black women were pulling from the lowest common denominator of black men. Come to find out, they were pulling from quality black men. They were pulling from the lowest common black men, right? Like I hate saying these words like the Pookie and the Ray Ray, because not all Pookies and Ray Rays are just deadbeat dads, and not all niggas from the hood or the project are Pookie and Ray Ray. I'm from Brooklyn, East New York. Born in Brookdale Hospital, Kings County. Used to live right there on Glenmore Liberty. So not every hood nigga is a Pookie and Ray Ray. Not every nigga that has multiple kids don't take care of his kids. So I'm getting kind of tired of all these different labels and brands that they put on black men. Right? And a lot of it is coming from people that never lived in black culture. They don't really know black culture to see it and in it. And then when black women were speaking to an audience, they were talking to an audience that they didn't really know about black culture. So they could say anything. And because black men were not able to challenge those talking points or whatever black women were saying, he couldn't defend himself, and those lies were left open in the air to attach themselves or project themselves onto black men or continue. That's why a lot of times being silent is not always the best weapon, because if you're silent while a lie is continuing, that lie is going to stick to you if you don't defend yourself, right? So, as the title says, black men taking accountability. Why are black women lagging? If black men have taken accountability, why are black women lagging behind? Well, my first point, let's talk about black men and fatherhood, right? According to CDC, the stats, 70% of black men are involved fathers in their children's lives. This has been reported by the CDC. The stat also says that only 9 or 8% of the black male population that are actual deadbeats, meaning that only 8% of the black male population are having children by multiple baby mom, multiple women, and not taking care of those kids, children. So those are the actual deadbeat dads. So 9 or 8% out of the 90% of black men are actually deadbeat dads. But throughout the whole 80s and 90s, right? Throughout the whole 80s and 90s, black women projected a lie saying that most black men aren't good fathers. Most black men were in the household. Most black men ran away. Most black men, blah, 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 blah. Now, even when you go back to, say, the bloomers, right? Because a lot of the problems were started from the bloomers. Like when you talk about the bloomer men, especially the black community, that was when you hear stories of how black papa or bloomer black father left the mama and the children, went across town, had a baby by another woman, and had a happy family with that. Well, what's the story not being told is that the bloomer got into a situation with a chick, the black bloomer man, right? He got into a situation with a woman that was being rebellious, and she was turning that child against him. So what he did is he left that, and he found another woman where he could have a family with. Now we can look at that and say morally that's wrong, which I would agree. But if you look at it logically, if you have a woman that you had a child with, and she's taking your child, and she's being disobedient, she's taking that child and turning that child against you. At what point, what do you do? Now, we can all agree that the bloomer man who did that during that era should have put his foot down and stayed in the house, regardless if that they were arguing, and nipped that in the butt to make that sacrifice. My only conflict to that was that you had a lot of black men bloomers who were part of the happy wife, happy life. So you had more black men who were bloomers that were part of the happy life, happy wife program than the black bloomers that ran away and left their children. So that's my only conflict. So that means that because you hear a lot of black women, the whole thing where they say that black men, a real man used to be stoic, a real man never used to complain, a real man. They got that from the happy wife, happy life, blue black men who are bloomers. And what does that mean? It means that those black men who were part of that happy wife, happy life situation during the bloomers, what they did is that they were a whole simp in their household, meaning that that woman ruled with the iron fist. He did whatever that woman said. He paid her bills. He loved her unconditionally. If that woman cheated on him, he still accepted her back. If that woman was disrespectful to him, he didn't say nothing back to her. If that woman made mistakes, fucked around, didn't listen to him, that man stuck it out with that woman and those children. Because there were a lot of black men boomers who their women cheated on them, brought home a stepchild that did not belong to him, and he still stayed in that relationship to make a sacrifice for that stepchild. See, that's what Tyler Perry is not making stories about. That's also what's not being talked about. You have more of those happy wife, happy life black men bloomers than you have the black bloomers that left their wife and their children to go move across state or move across the track to go, have another child or another wife or another kids on the other side somewhere. Okay, and then also I said that only 9% of the black male population are actual deadbeats, meaning that these are the black men who have children by multiple women and don't take care of the children. Uh, Now let me talk about that. If you go back and you review the Black Family, there's a video on YouTube called "The Black Family, 1986," where I guess you want to call it white people was trying to figure out what's going on with so many children being produced in the black household, in the black family, and they were doing an interview with these black women. I think they were Gen X because this was 1986. So these are, in my opinion, I think these are Gen X black women. And the interviewer asked the black women, so do you with the child's father? They didn't need a father, or they didn't need to be in a relationship with a black man to have a father for that child. Now, mind you, they were interviewing low income project families. They were not interviewing well-to-do blacks. They weren't interviewing the Uncle Phil blacks or the Fresh Prince of Bel Air blacks. They were not interviewing the Bill Cosby blacks. They were interviewing low-income blacks. Because when you go to these low-income projects buildings, like I grew up around and saw, because I'm from Brooklyn, I live in Queens now. In the low-income project buildings, the only way for those women to get those low-income project buildings is that they would have to have children from fathers, and the father could not be there. Like the game that's being played, or how they G the system is that uh, the black women will have children by one or two. I hate saying pookies, right? The black woman will have children by one or two pookie arrays, right? The one or two pookie arrays will produce or give this woman 5 to 6 kids. So it could be 10 women. These two brothers will impregnate 10 women and give them five. This is just an example, right? Say one or two pookies have sex with 3 black women. These two pookies will get three. These will give these two. Will give these 3 women 5 kids apiece. These black women would then go to the government, file for EBT WIC, and get free housing. So that was the game that was being ran. So really and truly, it was. So that's what created the stats back in the day that said that a lot of these children that are in the urban areas, which is technically black people neighborhood in the inner cities, which mainly consists of the project buildings or low income housing, came from fatherless households because they weren't coming from black men in the majority who were responsible. They were coming from black men who were Pookie and Ray Ray, lack of better words, better terms, right? That's where they were coming from. They were coming from brothers who were about their business and responsible. Because the brothers who are about their business and responsible, they may have one or two kids by one woman, right? So a lot of the children that were coming, that created the stat of the fatherless home, came from low income households. Black women that were G the system playing the game. Have 5 kids by 2 or 3 dudes. When you have 10 black women having kids by 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 dudes, so they could get free housing, so they could get uh free housing, EBT, and WIC. And how that game was played is that the government will send somebody out to see how the mother and the children were doing. They couldn't have a father in the house. So they would time it. The father would leave the house. And then when the white people came, or whoever from the government came to review the situation of the mother and the children, when that person left, the father then came back. So this is why when you go on YouTube and you see videos of a dude with his stuff already packed, and he's about to leave, that's what that is. His stuff is already packed, ready. And when it's time to leave the house for the government to come review the house and check on the woman and the children, he's not there. And that was not most black men. Shout out to Anger Man because he often says that the low quality blacks, the niggas, have outbred the responsible, well-to-do blacks, right? So that's the situation. So that's what created that stat that says that 80% of the black households are fatherless because those fatherless households were coming from the low income places. They were coming from the well-to-do blacks and responsible brothers, right? Now, were there some brothers that got a chick pregnant and got a chick pregnant, didn't date her properly or didn't vet her effectively and got her pregnant? Yes. But those brothers that did that and recognized that they made a mistake was actually trying to be involved in that child's life, which comes with the Gen X fathers. Which I have an older brother that's a Gen X, I have a father that's a boomer, and I have a lot of Gen X male cousins. And I watch how those Gen X male cousins that I have be fathers in their lives because that at that period during Gen X is all about black men being more involved in their children's life, black men being better fathers, black men improving their fatherhood and all that good stuff. This took place during, I think, the 80s and the 90s. When they were preaching black men have more dick discipline, black men wear more condoms, because I think after the Easy E, with the whole AIDS thing, a lot of black men started wearing condoms, being more, what you call sexual education, strapping up, right? So, and to go deeper on it, right? Angry Man makes an analogy. He says, um, you can have 10 black men. You can have my bad. Angry Man has said that you can have 10 black women who get pregnant by 1 or 2 black men, and they'll produce 2 or 3 children with each woman. And if you ask those women where are the father, they'll say he left. And you'll think that it was 10 black men that got 10 black women pregnant and gave them three. Those 10 black men got those 10 black women pregnant, and they left. When it really was only 2 or 3, right? I have a reverse on that. Why I have the reverse of that? Because a lot of black men are word. Right? Well, I have a reverse on that, reverse analogy on that, or a different analogy to that. Why is that? Which I'm going to get into a little bit later. Is that black men, when it comes to condom usage, we use condoms at a 60% rate, higher rate than white and Latino. My bad. So black men use condoms at a 60% rate. Latino men use it at a 54% rate. White men, I think, use it at a lower rate than that. And my analogy is that the black women who intend to get pregnant for black men so they could get EBT and benefits from the government, they'll come across 10 black men, right? 8 out of the 10 black men wear condoms, they're responsible. And they'll come across 2 dumbass Negroes that's dumb enough to not wear condoms and get pregnant, right? And you have multiple black women doing this. And the government asks them, so where's your father? Where he's at? multiple black women will go tell the government, well, he wasn't there, he left, he dipped on me. Really what happened was they went through 10 black men. 8 of those black men said, nah, I'm wearing a condom. Because usually goes on in the hood or in general, because I know of what you want to call high class black women that do the same thing too, where the brother is about to have sex with the black woman, right? He's about to put on a condom. The black chick will tell him to take off his condom, and if he doesn't want to take off his condom, they'll have a back and forth argument, and he'll end up having to kick her out the house. Yeah, I saw this in that movie, Lottery Ticket with Little Bow Wow. Go watch that movie. There's a scene that I described that I have experienced and seen in real life. Because I remember because as you can see, I have a terminal. So when I was in my 20s, I was getting into, more Science Temple of America. I was getting into Hebrew Israelites. I was getting into NOI. I was, trying to get up on my pro-blackness at the time. And at the time, I was trying to figure out, I still want to date women, but I don't want to do it the, what you call the player way. I want to do it the righteous, religious way, right? So how I dated in my 20s is that I would date multiple women, and with the intentions of actually getting into a relationship with the one that I saw was the best out of the multiple that I dated. So then one chick there were a couple of chicks that I thought, because how I picked them is that they claimed to be religious too. They claimed to be high class. One chick was an insurance, one chick was a lawyer, one chick was into something else, right? And at that time, I was very private with how I dated. I didn't let anybody know who I was dating. Like, people would ask me where your girlfriend is at, and I wouldn't say nothing, because it wasn't really nobody's business how I dated, to be honest. But there were chicks there that were that had quality jobs, religious, had their cameras on too. And I remember 6 months in, when we were about to have sex, I go to strap up. The chick the chick I was dating was not a hood chick. She wasn't any of that. She didn't come from the hood. She wasn't a strag. She wasn't any of that. But she told me to take off a condom, and I said no, because at the time I didn't want to have children too early without having my finances and my stuff together first. I remember us arguing back and forth, and I ended up having to block her number and leave her and stop talking to her. So a lot of people in my family wonder why, you know, I don't really to date, or I don't really to, they don't really see me with girlfriends, with a lot of girlfriend or women around me, is because I am very picky with who I date and selective with who I date, who I bring around myself and my family. I feel as if not everybody should be able to have access to me. I felt like this when I was in my 20s, and I was on my religious thing. Still on, right? So what would happen? So I say that to say that story to say this is that yeah, a lot of brothers who are responsible with themselves like me will counter black women no matter what station of life she's in. And while we're about to put on a condom, she'll tell us to take off the condom. If we don't take off the condom, she'll argue back and forth with us. And what she'll end up doing is she'll go find one or two dumbass dudes, black dudes, who's going to be dumb enough to get her pregnant. Right? So that's how that usually happens. That's why you see guys are seeing the stats now that's saying that you see the stats that say now that 20 from the ages 20 to 29, 73% of black men between those ages are childless. That's a large amount, right? But somehow black women are still getting pregnant and producing, yeah, still getting pregnant, right? Yeah. Like I said, I got ADHD, so I gotta write down my notes. Uh, right. So as I said, you can have multiple black women trying to get pregnant in the intentions of getting EBT, WIC, or SNAP, or whatever benefits they could get from the government. They could come across 10 black men 8 out of the 10 black men are responsible with themselves. They wear condoms, they wear contraceptives. And if those 8 black men don't work, they'll find 2 brothers who are dumbass Negroes to get them pregnant, and that's how that happens, from my point of view, right? And then when these things happen, right, and the black women get pregnant by these the lowest common denominator of black men, or lowest quality of black men, they'll blame the whole black male population for it, right? And that's unfair because now you're starting to hear the liberals and conservative people repeat the same rhetoric that black women are repeating. I've heard conservative white men and liberal white men. My bad. Be back. How black men fail the community. Black men fail black women. I've heard Candace always say it. I've heard conservative white men say it. I have heard being more responsible. How could people in politics who have these stats and information at their disposal keep repeating these same age-old, outdated talking points that can be destroyed with CDC stats, right? Uh, now, as I said, uh, this is what I believe created the whole fatherless statistic for black men. That the fathers were actually coming from low-income households. They weren't coming from majority of the brothers. It's just that the majority of the brothers took the hit for what a few Negroes were doing and what black women would do, the bullshit that black women were doing behind the scenes, right? Uh, and then we have to also remember that throughout the 80s and the 90s, 2000s, into the mid 2010s, black women were talking about single mother by choice, strong and independent. I don't need no man. Go back and listen to Beyonce, all the R&B songs, like Beyonce songs. I don't need no scrubs. Blah 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 blah. Remember that song, right? So black women actively were choosing to get pregnant and being single by choice instead of how deadbeat baby daddy. I questioned, did you get pregnant by a responsible dude, or did you get pregnant by a low deadbeat? Because when you go on YouTube now, and even in real life, now that you know that 70% of black men were more involved fathers in their child's life, that means that black men were actively trying to be fathers in their house, and black women were actively trying to be single mothers. So even though there were black men that wanted to be fathers in their household, black women on purpose got pregnant by that dude and chose to leave that dude. At that point, you can't really blame a black man for that. He can't control that. That's not his fault. He went into the game with the intentions of having created a family with this woman, and this woman chose not to create that family with this brother. No, I've been told that you can't control women, and women have free will to choose. If I'm standing on business and she chose not to stand on business, how the fuck you gonna blame me or other black men for that? How you gonna blame a responsible black man who stands on business? So it's his fault for standing on business and being responsible. And him being responsible and standing on business is what caused this chick to leave and put him on child support and be difficult. That doesn't make any sense. Logical. If their whole logic, if everybody's logic on fucking YouTube streets, now rant. If everybody's damn logic on these YouTube streets is that, you know, the black woman is the reflection of the black man, and the black woman follows the black man's leadership, all that other bullshit. So how come when you have black men who want to be fathers and who want to be responsible, why not the black woman being a reflection of that black man and saying, I want to be a good, responsible mother too? Why is she saying I'm choosing to be strong and independent? Y'all gotta answer me that. Because women are not stupid. I get black men or men in general with stronger, with smarter, but they're not stupid either. They have a brain, they have a mind of their own. I, I'm starting to think that women in general respond to their fucking self. They don't respond to. They can choose to respond to themselves or their own ideology or their own thinking. Because you can't tell me that black women are the reflection of black men, where black men are improving themselves and black women are choosing to not improve and go backward. You mean to tell me that brothers like me who stand on business, you mean to tell me that the sexy red and a lot of other good brothers get the fuck out of here, out of my face. Anyway, uh, right. So if you have black men who want to be fathers, who are being more responsible, because if you come around that in Queens, I see a lot of fathers out here taking their children to doctors, taking their children to go play at the park. I saw a brother on the bus the other day with his baby mama, and he feeding his baby, he feeding his child with milk. But older brother, he has four children. Should I'm saying, and the four children that he has, they're very intelligent and smart. But the thing is, I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. It just seems to me that black men are able to get in relationships with other groups and cultures of women and be very successful. Anyway, black men. The next point I want to get to is black men have improved when it comes to his money, when it comes to his average income or his earnings, right? At one point in time, black men were making 21,423K a month on average. This was during the Reaganomics. So the Reaganomics lasted until the 90s. And because of the Reaganomics, it caused black men between the ages of 16 and 19 to be unemployed at 15%. So when you go back to the 80s and 90s, where when black women were complaining about how black men were lazy, they'd be scrubbed sitting on the couch not doing nothing. Well, that was something out of black men's control because Reaganomics came in and it caused a high unemployment rate amongst black men between the ages of 16 and 19. And at that time, the average household income was 21,423. And because of Reaganomics, the Reaganomics rocked the black community. So that was a government outside of the black community's control that was messing with black men's income. Because I think, remember, even though I was born in '92, I used to hear how a lot of black men in the '90s would get laid off, and I'm going to get to that too. Because right after Reaganomics came, Bill Clinton, he came up with the NAFTA agreement, and NAFTA, it took away I think 500,000 manufacturing jobs or factory jobs that black men were able to get and use to hold down a whole family with that, right? And I think during the '90s, black men's average income was mind you, this is during Reaganomics. This is during Bill Clinton's NAFTA, and then Bill Clinton signed Joe Biden's 1994 bill, right? So those are three things, consecutive things that will mess up with black men's ability to go out there, grind, and make money, and actually participate effectively in capitalism. Because two presidents signing in things into power that was beyond black men's control. And I have to hold the black caucus, the black boomers accountable. Because the black caucus agreed with Bill Clinton's NAFTA, and they agreed with Bill Clinton's 1994 bill. So the black bloomers who are part of the black caucus, you're responsible for why black men are not able to make the money, were not able to make their money that they need to make during the '80s and '90s. You're responsible for why black women kept going on national TV, or kept going on public TV and said that black men are broke and lazy in the house. It wasn't that they were broke or they were lazy. It was that NAFTA came in, took away a lot of their jobs, and prior to that, it was Reaganomics, and then right after both of those two, it was the '94 crime bill. And a lot of brothers during the '90s had to resort to the dope. A lot of brothers was hung in that block and selling dope to put money on their damn table. That, but that's for another topic or another video, right? Uh, and despite all this, black men, despite Reaganomics, despite the after agreement, despite the '94 bill, black men were able to increase their average income to 51K a year. So by the age of, I think, 40 to 49 or 40 to 50, black men will be making 51K a year on average. So black men on average stepped up their income range collectively, right? Because that was another complaint that black women made. Black women made a complaint saying that black men were not making enough money. And because black men were not making enough finances, he couldn't be traditional or he couldn't lead a household. Which is funny to me now that how in today's day and age, black women talk about black men lack emotional intelligence, which means to have empathy, which means to see the humanity in the other person. During that time, black women didn't give a fuck about black men's humanity. Before the whole world of white America, and say that black men dealt dope with the black community. And you wouldn't have conservatives and white liberals repeat always repeat that same line, knowing that it was only a small minority of black men that dealt dope. And the black men who had to deal dope or sell dope or hung that block, and the black men were getting locked up because of the '94 bill off of petty crimes, not even violent crimes. And then when you look at a lot of black men being released today, spending sometimes 3 decades in prison for some shit that come to find out they didn't really do this, right? So despite all that, black men have stepped up their income. And this is my prediction, which this could have happened a lot faster during Donald Trump, because during Donald Trump, black men were working, they were making their money. And Donald Trump got another term before Joe Biden got another term, black men would have not only touched the white man when it comes to average income, but surpassed them. And it's my prediction that if with the younger Gen Z and the younger millennials, because I'm 32, so technically I'm a millennial, my age bracket to the Gen Z is my prediction with the money that I see, with the type of money I see the young brothers making, and Gen Z, and in my age bracket making, I predict that black men will be able to step up that average income to 80K and surpass the white men when it comes to average income, right? In my opinion, that's just my opinion. All right. So what's the next one? Okay, I talk about black men being more sexually responsible. Black men has become more sexually responsible. For a while, black men have been told to stop, to strap up, wear condoms, pick better women, and stop dating 3 or 4s. We were also told to date with better intentions and even get a better vetting process when it comes to get a better process. When it comes to condom usage, black men at 54% who are unmarried, meaning that black men who are having casual sex, when it says that 54% of black men wear condoms, that's a high percentage. And it says that these are black men who are unmarried. So that means that black men who are having casual sex, they're wearing condoms, right? And that is 14% more than the white men and Latin men. And I think the condom usage drops during cohabitation or when they're in a relationship or being married, which is understandable. If you're with a chick for a long amounts of times or you're in a marriage, long distance relationship, monogamous relationship, at that point, you know what I'm saying, you trust each other, you're not going to wear really condoms. But when it comes to casual sex, right, black men are wearing condoms at a higher rate than white men and Latin men, right? Which means that black men are preventing themselves from having, baby mama drama, catching STDs or whatsoever because they're wearing condoms while they're having casual sex at a higher percentage. Uh, Yet, when it comes to black women are higher than black men through the roof. Go look up the stats. I'm not lying to you. When it comes to the STD rate, like gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia, black women are higher for catching these STD rates than black men. How is that possible if black men at a higher percentage are wearing more condoms and protecting themselves at least? How are black women still catching STDs? Right? I bring these all. I bring all of this to say this: that if we're saying that black women are supposed to be the reflection of black men, right, or black men's leadership, if black men have stepped up their income and held themselves accountable for the money they're making, why are black women saying, you know what, our black men, they held themselves accountable, they've improved their money income, you know what we gonna do? We gonna improve ourselves. We gonna get into a relationship with these brothers. We gonna be a reflection of them. Is that what's happening? No. Well, look, see my natural beard, and I got natural dreadlocks, natural hair, all that. Look at this. Natural hair, all this. Natural hair, natural this. You have to see the real me, natural hair. I need to do my locks though. Pause. That sound real vaginal and feminine. I need to get my locks retwisted better, right? Natural. So as you see, I have natural hair, got natural beard. Why if black men, because during the 80s and the 90s, black men were going into being natural, be in touch with their natural hair, dreadlocks, and afro. Today, you see a lot of brothers walking around with their natural afro, natural dreadlocks, natural beard. Why are not black women saying, damn, our black men are walking around natural with their natural nappy hair? Why are not black women following the black man's lead and being the reflection of him and saying, okay, we're no longer going to wear Becky's weave. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to wear BBLs. We're going to go natural because we see our black men going natural. Black men have become more sexual disciplined, right? Why are black women still when it comes to the STD rate? How are black men? How are black? Let's follow and be the reflection of our black men and be more sexually responsible. If y'all were saying that the black woman is supposed to be the reflection of black men, why are not black women saying, you know what, we gonna step our game up since our black men improve themselves to be better black men for the black community, for the women? Why don't we also be better black women for the black community as well? Is it happening? No. You can't tell me this happening if Ice Spice, Sexy Red, Ski Yee, Meg Thee Stallion is able to influence black women to do the opposite of what traditional black men say to do. For the most part, vast majority of black men are not street niggas or thugs. They might come from the environment, but they're not that. Yeah, black women still choose to date thugs and gangs, still date the street thug. No, but there was a time where if you were gangbanging or selling dope or hugging the block or getting shot 9 billion times or going to jail, black women were not dating you. So you had plenty of brothers that was out there, intelligent, like Star Wars, like to read books, like to go to college, but they were not getting any box. Any black woman that want to argue with me about that, if it was true that black women were seeking out the dirty black men and one of the dirty black men, or let's say the brothers that were interested in going to college, like to read and like to be intelligent, that the intelligent black men would have just as much box or more box than the thugs, than the brothers who were street thugs, who were gangbanging and got shot 59 million times. As a matter of fact, the intelligent black men would have just as much children as the thug. What's going on? The intelligent brothers would have just as much children as the uh, the niggas who go to jail and gangbang because black women will be sleeping with the intelligent brothers and getting children from the intelligent brothers. And Memphis wouldn't be as retarded as Memphis is. The sexy rays, the gorillas would not exist if black women were mating with the intelligent black men, the well-to-do blacks. If you look at Barack Obama, which is a contradiction of why black women would find Barack Obama attractive, because if Barack Obama did not have wasn't a president of the United States, and Barack Obama didn't have power, if Barack Obama was a regular Negro every day walking down the street, black women would call Barack Obama a square, a lame, and a sucker. Shout out to my brother Rizla Islam. I love the brother Rizla Islam. But if Rizla Islam, look how Rizla Islam looked. Black women would deem Rizla Islam a square and a lame too. Look at Nick Cannon. There are plenty of brothers out in the black of Barack Obama. Just like a Rizla Islam. Who that? Oh, how you doing? I'm here. Yeah, I'm on the porch. All right, thank you.
Good one, thank
you.
you
too. I've got a delivery right here. All right, so if there are plenty of brothers out here just like a Barack Obama, like a Rizla Islam. If those type of brothers are walking around in the neighborhood, intellectual, intelligent, those brothers would be having just as much children as the Pookies and the Ray Rays and the Thug and the Gangbanger. And it would counterbalance the Sexy Reds and the Ice Spices and all those gorillas and the Meg the Stallions in the community. It would counterbalance the Pookies and the Ray Rays in the community. But black women don't hold themselves accountable and say, damn, there's more that intelligence. There's more brothers out here that are smart and intelligent and got their shit together. Let's hold ourselves accountable and be a reflection of those black men. But black women choose to be the reflection of the opposite of that. So what if, really and truly, black women are really the reflection of their own selves, their own ideologies, or whatever influences they choose to follow? You can't blame black men for everything. The only time I hold a black man accountable is if a black woman submitted to that brother 100% and he lied and he was on the bullshit time. Then I'll say, nigga, it's your fault because you had a good woman and you let her wrong. But the whole world is going to say that. We're not going to say the same thing if the brother was leading right and that woman chose to rebel or disobey him. We're not going to hold her accountable. Right? Even in those cases, you have a lot of brothers that did still own business who was consistent, and that woman, black woman, chose to not be a reflection of him. She chose to rebel against him. What about that? But those cases, black men have improved themselves when it comes to being sexually disciplined. Black men have improved themselves when it comes to their average income. Black men have improved themselves when it comes to fatherhood. When it comes to most of these stereotypes that are somehow still being projected on black men have beaten them. Regardless of the 94 bill, regardless of the NAFTA agreement, regardless of Reaganomics, regardless of the dope and gangbanging game, black men fought through the flames and beaten them. Yet black women still choose to go the opposite direction and doing worse and worse. Meanwhile, black men are doing better and better. So how the fuck can you tell me that the black woman is the reflection of the black man in the black community? if one is doing better and one is doing worse. When you go on YouTube and they say it's always a man's fault, man must hold himself accountable. It all sounds good. If the man holds himself accountable, the woman will hold herself accountable. It all sounds good, but when you look in real life, I don't see it. Maybe as an individually, but then again, that black woman has to choose to say, okay, I'm going to be held accountable. You can't force her to do that. In other words, a woman can choose what influence moves her, what influences she wants to be molded. Shit, reconnected. My bad. Right? Black men want to be traditional or more monogamy. Black women choose to be 3 or 4 phase. And how go to summer. Black men say they want monogamy. Black women say they want polygamy. I'm fucking sick of Android and the bullshit. Right. So black men say they want. All right, I'm gonna have to end this stream. This shit that want me to speak to Illuminati trying to get to me. But yeah. So in summary, right? You can't tell me that. And first of all, black women never really followed black men's lead as far as a relationship is concerned. Anyway, all this happy wife, happy life shit. That sound like black women were following black men's lead. Black women doing 3 or 4 phase and expect a good brother that wasn't living his lifestyle like that to wife her up. That's black women following a black man. They don't give a fuck what a nigga say on this internet. You're not gonna tell me I'm insecure because I don't want a 3 or 4. And black men did not tell black women to go be a 3 or 4. Majority of black men out here are not out here whoremongering. So how are black women responding to the lowest percentage of men, of black men who are players or whoever, but not responding to the majority of men who are not? And if you're gonna tell me it's because those brothers are sexually attractive, that ain't my fault. Remember, she has to find me sexually attractive. That's something in her brain that she has to work on to find me sexually attractive. I don't control that. She does. So you telling me that majority of the brothers in the black community, because they don't want to gang bang, they don't want to be a thug, they don't want to shoot people, they don't want to hug a block or deal dope. Me tell me because those brothers don't want to do that, they're not sexually attractive to the black women. So because he don't want to fit the bullshit standard of black culture of what a black real nigga is supposed to be, uh, it's his fault. So he should be a real nigga, get shot 50 million times, hug a block to be attracted to black women. What y'all tell him? Because if he does that, he'd be following black women's lead and not his own lead. Pick a struggle, like Angry Man would say. It's either black men be more responsible, stop being thugs and gangbangers, and black women move to the tune of those black men, or you want black men to be thugs and gangbangers so that black women can follow them, which means that black men would be following the tune of black men. How come when 20% of black men picked to vote Republican, the black women didn't follow those brothers? But a brother says, black women, hey, meet me at Starbucks at 10 p.m., dress appropriately. How come she's 15 minutes late and she dressed up in gym clothes? That's following a brother's lead? I got natural dreadlocks, but in most brothers' brothers got their natural dreadlocks or their afro or their beard, but most black women wears weave and makeup and fake hair and all that other stuff. Black women, and yes, I'm a black man, so I get to talk about black women. She's my woman. I get to talk about her. I don't give a fuck what Becky say. I don't give a fuck what the liberal bitches say. I get to complain. When a silverback gorilla is pissed off in his territory and his women are out of line, what that silverback gorilla do? Beat his motherfucking chest and get shit in line. When the lion in the Serengeti or that desert or the jungle or whatever, and his lionesses are acting up out of line, what does that lion do? He roars. The wolf, the same thing. Any dominant male mammal that's in charge of his house, if the women and children are acting up in his house, he's gonna make noise, he gonna complain, he gonna beat his chest, he gonna assert himself. But we, as the human beings, who're supposed to be more intelligent than the animals, we're trying to convince that the men, that a real man or real dominant man is quiet and he don't complain. Get the fuck out of here and out my face with that. And the whole world wants to tell black men how he should operate with his woman. You wouldn't dare go tell a silverback gorilla that because you get your face kicked in or your chest punched in. As a matter of fact, if you go mess with a silverback gorilla about how he should operate with his women, Peter go get on your ass. If you go mess with a lion in his natural habitat, Peter's gonna get on your ass. So why do we like fucking with black men with how he wants to run his community? And tell him he can't complain about his woman. He's a grown ass man. It's his masculinity, right? His masculinity, his voice, his freedom, his right, his choice. So if he chooses to talk about the bullshit about black women and he's dealing with black women every day, that's his right. And the funny part is, other black men telling other black men what to do. But if you try to tell them niggas what to do, they're gonna have a problem. This, y'all niggas on YouTube are goofy. You niggas on YouTube are real goofy. That's why I said there's really no black male brotherhood. Because if there was a black male brotherhood, we'd all respect each other and how we want to operate in our house. It's the same thing with the passport bros versus the dating coaches. If the dating coaches are able to conquer the game and be successful over here in America, and the passport bros are able, who are black men, who are able to go abroad and conquer the game over there and be successful over there, it's a win for black men on a whole. You don't see white men and Arab men and Latin men complaining with each other and telling each other they're weak in their masculinity because they want to get a passport and go to another culture and have access to another culture of women. But us niggas here on YouTube are arguing over that stupid, goofy ass shit. What are you day coaches? What are y'all? Some nigga slave catchers? What's goofy about the whole argument about the two factions, the day coaches issue with the passport bros, is that if a European man, say Chris Helmsworth or Jason Statham, gets their passport, migrates to America, falls in love with a black woman, marries that black woman, has children by that black woman, creates some mixed half-breed kids by that black woman, nobody's going to tell Jason Statham, Chris Helmsworth, or any European man that they're weak in their masculinity because they took their passport, came to America, and dated and married a black woman. Black women are going to call them weak, and these niggas on YouTube calling the passport bros weak are going to call them weak. But back to the original point. How black men are improving and black women are lagging behind. Right? You cannot tell me that black men are more sexual disciplined and responsible. Black black women are still having babies, are still getting pregnant. You can't tell me that there are more black men who are outside of wedlock. Where they get pregnant from? Where they get the babies from? If between the ages of 20 and 29, black men are childless, and there are more black women with children than there are black men with children, how are those black women over there getting pregnant? And how the fuck is that? And how the fuck can you tell me black women are following or are the reflection of black men if black men are more sexually responsible, but black women aren't? And with that said, this is Kish Yardie Game Nation. I'm about to start calling these lives Yardie rants on my rants, but I got to title the video and create the thumbnail, and hopefully my thumbnail will get better and all these good things. Um, I'd like for y'all to like, subscribe, share, donate. You could donate to my PayPal, my Cash App. It's in the description. My name is Kish Yardie Game Nation. Please like, share, and subscribe. Shout out to the Angry Man. Shout out to Anton Daniels. Shout out to the day coaches. Even though I disagree with some of the talking points, I do agree with a lot of it too. Um, Shout out to Coach Greg Adams. Shout out to a lot of y'all on YouTube Spaces. Peace.